Hello and welcome to Wild Heart Yoga Holistic Healing. I am Hannah Ray. Today I have for you a 20-minute yoga flow that is targeted for exertional compartment syndrome in the lower legs. So this is something that I was diagnosed with when I was running in college, and I had bilateral leg surgery for, and unfortunately it did not solve my issues. And more recently in my life I found out about yin yoga and its ability to release connective tissue and fascia, which is the issue with compartment syndrome. So when we have exertional compartment syndrome, the fascia, which is the thin layer of connective tissue around the muscle, it doesn't want to expand with the muscle as much as the muscle wants to grow or is swelling, and so it creates this pressure. So today's yin practice is going to have some long holds targeting the lower legs to really try to release that fascia. So if you've been struggling with compartment syndrome and you do this flow, the more you do it, the better it's going to serve you. If you find that this is helpful to you, please let me know. I'm really curious if this will be helpful to others as well. So with that being said, if you're ready, grab your mat and let's begin. Hello and welcome to the short flow for the lower legs today. Let's begin seated at the back of our mats, legs extended ahead of us. Let's begin with a big inhale as you reach overhead, index fingers pointing up toward the sky. Then exhale, planting the right hand down to the mat, left arm reaching over, feeling a deep stretch through the side body. Inhaling deeply here, feeling that oxygen create a separation in the ribs as we get warmed up for today's flow. Inhale back to center, taking another big reach. Then exhale, moving to the other side now. Left hand down to the ground, right arm reaches over. Again, taking a few deep breaths into this, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Good, exhale back to center. Inhale one more deep breath. Then exhale as you begin to fold forward from the hips, taking our seated forward fold here. Now it's really important in these type of poses to make sure that we are bending as far as we can from the hips, not from the lumbar spine or the low back area, before allowing the rest of our body to melt over the legs. So if you need to, keep your knees bent a little bit here and work on feeling that low belly touch the thighs. With each exhale, see if you can extend those legs a little bit further. And while we're here, since we are targeting the lower legs for compartment syndrome today, I want you to pull those toes in towards your shin here, feeling that deeper stretching sensation through the shins, the back of the knees, even in the hamstrings here. Each exhale, just pulling those toes a bit further towards yourself, even if your knees are bent here. Every exhale, trying to melt that chest a little closer toward the knees, thinking about pulling the chest out and down, so that we're keeping that lengthening sensation through the spine. While you're here, go ahead and play around with this, moving your toes to the sides, right and left, pulling them in towards you still, seeing if you can notice a difference in the sensation that makes throughout your legs, if that makes the tension worse on the sides or the inside. Just tuning in, becoming aware of how your body is speaking to you today. Since we are focusing on deep release of fascia and connective tissue, we're going to be holding our yin poses for about 2 minutes each today. So this is a great time to work on patience and distress tolerance as we breathe through these poses that can be a little uncomfortable at times. Be patient with yourself here, breathing deeply when you're feeling the urge to come out of these poses, focusing on the breath, on the body. All right, on your next exhale, go ahead and bring yourself back up to seated. Point the toes, then lift the hips as you throw the head back, taking our reverse plank here, or a supine plank, pushing those hips up high toward the sky, feeling this deep release through the chest and the shoulders. Breathing deeply here. And exhale, lower yourself back down. Go ahead and bring the left leg now up and over the right leg, stacking it for a single leg shoelace. Then inhale the arms up and exhale as you begin to fold again from the hips, not the lower back, over your legs. If you need to, interlace your fingers under your knees to give your knee a little support there, especially if this is hurting your knees. And once again, if you can't bend with your leg all the way straight, then you can take a little bit bend in that knee. And again, with every exhale, think about extending it. Once again, focus on pulling those toes in towards the shin. Just taking a few deep breaths here. Noticing the sensation this is creating down the back of your legs. Trying to find stillness here. Breathing through the discomfort, the tension. Go ahead now and try pulling the toes outwards. So still in towards your shin, but out towards the edge of your mat a little bit. See how that feels for you. If that moves where the sensation is at, if you feel more tightness, less tightness. Just hang out here for a few breaths, taking it in. And when you're ready, go ahead and pull your toes toward the other side. So still pulling the toes toward the shin, but we're going to point the toes towards the right side of the mat. Now moving that sensation toward the outside of the shin. Once you figure out which position is speaking to your body the most and serving your own needs, go ahead and find stillness there. Breathing into this, getting the deepest release that you can for your body. Great job. Release that bottom leg, swing it in towards your glute. Reach the arms up and take a twist from the belly button as we take our seated spinal twist here, looking over your left shoulder, feeling this gentle spinal release. Taking just a couple deep breaths here before transitioning to the other side. Good, release. Swing the legs around, making your way to plank. Take a chaturanga. Inhale for up dog, rocking the hips side to side. And if you can, stay on the back of your feet as you press your way back to down dog, leading with the hips. And then we're going to roll forward one vertebrae at a time, sinking all the way forward and looking up. Exhale, roll back a few times like this, moving at your own pace. Staying on the back of those feet if you can, but of course if you can't, go ahead and flip the feet over. This is just a great way to stretch the front of the shins even a bit further. Roll forward, one vertebrae at a time, looking up. Exhale, press back. Making a slight dip with the low back as we move back to down dog, creating this rolling sensation through the whole spinal cord. This time turning the feet over, and let's just walk out our dog here for a few moments. Inhaling one leg straight, the other leg bent, and exhale as you switch sides. Just continuing to wake up the hamstrings, the back of the knees, shins. On your next exhale, look up, bend the knees, hop toward the front of the mat, landing seated. And we're just going to switch sides now for our shoelace. So this time the right leg stacks over the left. Inhale as you reach up and exhale as you lower the body over the legs. Once again, making sure you're bending from the hips and not the low back or the lumbar spine. Interlacing those fingers under your knees for a bit more knee protection if you need. And then again, just allow your upper body to just rest over your legs. Breathing deeply into this. Remember, in through the nose. Deep sigh from the back of the throat. With every exhale. This is the best way to get the most benefit out of these stretches, the deepest release. With every inhale, imagining the fresh oxygen and energy coming to the areas of stiffness. And with every exhale, intentionally releasing the tension, imagining it melting away from our bodies. Again, while you're here, you can play around with the toe positions, keeping the toes pulled in toward the shin, but playing around with it, pulling the toes toward the right of the mat or the left, figuring out what area speaks to your body the most. And honoring that, honoring what your body is telling you it needs today. Strengthening our patience and our distress tolerance thresholds. Just keep tuning in, keep breathing deeply. You're almost there. Very good. Release that leg, pulling the bottom leg in toward the glute again. Inhale, twisting from the belly button, taking our seated spinal twist on the other side now. Looking over your right shoulder, feeling this gentle spinal release. The release through the glute. If you do a lot of running and biking, it's really important to make sure we're getting good releases out of the glutes and the hips, as that, of course, will impact our lower legs as well. Good. Exhale, release now. Swinging the legs around, coming back to plank. But this time, press your way straight back to down dog. And we're going to walk out the dog again. Just exhaling, one leg straight, one bent. Making this just feel good for your body. And we're going to take a few more rolls again. So exhale as you roll forward one vertebrae at a time, head following last, flipping onto your toes for up dog. Then exhale. Once again, staying on your toes if you'd like, if it's within your practice today. So we can feel that extra stretch through the shins and the ankles. Rolling one vertebrae at a time, sinking the hips low, look up. Exhale, lead with the hips, rolling the spine a vertebrae at a time. Flip the toes over now. Take a few more walks to the dog here. Inhale, right leg goes up for three-legged dog. Take a big step to the front of the mat on your exhale, reaching the arms up to the sky for our lunge. Then lower the back leg, coming to low lunge here. Reaching back, extending behind you, feeling this deep stretch through the psoas. Then exhale, plant the hands, extending the front leg, coming into our halfway split. Again, inhale, reach the arms up, extending backwards, big reach, big stretch through the hips. Exhale, plant the hands, extend the front leg, halfway split. Again, inhale, reach up. Big stretch. Making this match the pace of your breath if it's a little too fast or too slow for you. Remember that this practice is your own, so don't be afraid to ever modify it or pause the video or change anything. This is about meeting your needs, serving your body today. Now go ahead and hold your halfway split this time. Once again, making sure you're bending from the hips intentionally. This will help deepen the stretch through your hamstring, make it more effective, and help protect you from injuring your low back. So this is very important. If you need to use some blocks or some books stacked on either side of your leg to put your hands on to lift you up a little bit, feel free to do that as well. That's an excellent modification for this pose. Once again, while we're here, pull those toes in towards your shin. Begin to pull the foot toward the right side of the mat and the left side, finding the area that speaks to you. When you find a spot that lights you up, that feels like it has a lot of tension held there, hold it, find stillness, and see if you can release that with every exhale. As runners, it can be hard to take this time to be patient and still and honor our bodies in this way since we're used to going all the time. So this is really actually good for us to change up our frame of thought, to practice being still and nourishing our bodies and learning how to have gratitude and appreciation for this time, because it really does so many wonderful things for our bodies and our minds. Good. Release the front leg now, coming back into a lunge one more time, reaching the arms up, feeling that deep stretch to the hips. Exhale, hands back to the mat, making your way back to plank. Inhale for up dog. Exhale, back to down dog. Right to the other side now. Left leg goes up for three-legged dog. Take a big step to the front of the mat, swinging the arms up for high lunge, then drop your back leg to the mat as you reach back for a deep stretch. Exhale, extend the front leg, coming into our halfway split. Inhale, big reach up, low lunge. Exhale, halfway split, pulling those toes in toward the shin. Again, inhale. Arms reach up and back, maybe a little further this time, then exhale, halfway split. One more time, inhale up for lunge, reaching back a bit further. Then exhale, extending the front leg, finding stillness in your halfway split again. Another really important thing to focus on in this pose is to make sure that you're keeping your hips square. So think about pulling your left hip back slightly and pushing your right hip forward just a bit. This will help you be more mindful of the direction your hips are facing. So we want to really try to keep them more square to the front of the mat. This will help isolate the hamstring muscle better. Once again, pull those toes in toward your shin. Play around with the direction here. Maybe pulling the toes in toward the right of the mat or towards the outside of the mat. And once again, come back to your breath here. Come back to the intention you set for today. Breathe through it. We're almost there. Inhaling patience. Exhaling tension. Inhaling distress tolerance. Exhale the urge to flee, the urge to revert. Very good. Just a few more breaths here. Maybe move that foot back to side just a few more times. Good. Now release. Up into lunge one more time, taking a big reach overhead, back behind you, deep stretch through the psoas and hip flexor here. Exhale, hands to the mat, make your way back to plank for chaturanga. Inhale for up dog, and exhale, back to down dog. Again, we're gonna roll forward all the way to up dog. Lead with hips as you press your way back to down dog. A few more body rolls like this, one vertebrae at a time, following the speed of your breath, staying on those toes if you can. Good. Flip over the toes now. Look forward and exhale as you hop forward, landing in the center of your mat. Let's go right into our boat pose. The shins lifted up, arms at the side of your body. Exhale as you extend back. Then reach the arms overhead for a hollow body. Hold it for just a moment, and then slowly begin to lower yourself down. 3, 2, 1. All the way down to the mat now, allowing the arms to come beside you, palms facing up toward the sky, as we take our final pose for today, our Savasana. While you're here, just take note of how your body is feeling, how you feel different than you did at the beginning of this practice. Begin to just scan through your body. If you notice any area still holding tension, with your next exhale, see if you can just release that a bit deeper. Feeling the weight of your body against the mat. On your next exhale, go ahead and roll back to your side and make your way back to seated at the center of your mat. And let's end with a couple more closing breaths together. Inhale as you take a big reach overhead. Exhale, hands to prayer, heart center. One more time, inhale, big reach, and exhale. Thank yourself for taking the time for today's practice. Thank you so much for joining me for today's class. If you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to stay up to date with all my latest classes. Thanks again for joining today's class. Namaste.